Welcome to Santa Clarita Weekly, where we cover all things local in Santa Clarita Valley every Saturday morning at 9 on KQRU 107.9. Join hosts Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty as they uncover the latest news, events, sports highlights, and more, keeping you connected and engaged with what matters most in our hometown.
All right, so welcome back for another edition of Santa Clarita Weekly with Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty. I'm Sage. He's Tim. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. We're also on YouTube and Instagram, and you can find us online at santaclaritastar.com. If you'd like to support our show and santaclaritastar.com, we have provided affiliate links to purchase a Tyler Glasnow bobblehead. Of course, Glasnow is a Santa Clarita native who currently plays for the Dodgers. If you purchase products using our affiliate link, our show and website will get a portion of the proceeds at no additional cost to you. The links can be found under the YouTube video of this show, as well as our website, santaclaritastar.com. So this week, we're talking about the Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, ICAN. They held a press conference to release critical reports on child welfare in Los Angeles County. And in sports, the Hart boys soccer team reached the semifinals of the CIF Southern California Regional playoffs and faced a familiar foe. The Rams added a new name to its wide receiver core and welcomed back some valuable pieces to their team from last year. The Dodgers extended the contract of Dodgers manager Dave Roberts for another 4 years as the team prepares to head to Japan for the opening of the 2025 season against the Cubs. Dodgers pitcher and Santa Clarita native Tyler Glasnow announced he is making some changes to prevent getting injured again in the upcoming season. And in the NHL, the Kings won their third game in a row, snapping a 5-game losing streak and added a little muscle in a trade with the Philadelphia Flyers. So today we're focusing on the vital work of protecting children in Los Angeles County, and we'll be hearing from the Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, or ICAN. Founded in 1977, ICAN has grown into the largest county-based multi-agency child abuse council in the nation. It's a powerhouse of collaboration, bringing together city, county, state, and federal agencies to prevent, identify, and treat child abuse and neglect. What sets ICAN apart is its groundbreaking work, from establishing the first child death review team in the country to creating innovative systems for information sharing between agencies. And we're about to play clips from a recent press conference where ICAN leaders, their ongoing efforts about and the importance of their multidisciplinary approach. So on March 7th, the Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, ICAN, held a press conference to unveil critical reports on child welfare in Los Angeles County, featuring LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman, Sheriff Robert Luna, and LAPD Chief Jim McDonald. The event highlighted shocking trends in child abuse cases, infant abandonment, and child fatalities. So key findings from the reports include the state of child abuse in LA County, and this was comprehensive data from 17 agencies tracking child abuse trends, prevention efforts, and policy recommendations. Safely Surrendered and Abandoned Infants Report, and this was an analysis of California's Safe Surrendered Baby Law, the SSBL, which has reduced newborn abandonment cases. The last report was the Child Death Review Report, a review of child fatalities, lessons learned, and recommendations to prevent further tragedies. County Sheriff Robert Luna went over ICAN's mission and talked about the reports.
First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this afternoon in what I think is a very, very important meeting. As the co-chair of the Los Angeles County Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the ICAN Policy Committee meeting. It is also my honor to welcome our new ICAN co-chair, District Attorney Nathan Hochman. And returning, and no stranger to ICAN, is the old but new Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonald. And I've known Jim for many, many years, and I don't know if there's anyone out there who's as big as that, an advocate for children in Los Angeles County, Jim, as you are. So it's good to have you back. Very good to have you back. Why are we here? We're here today because every child in Los Angeles County matters. We are here because we are concerned about our children and want to do everything that we possibly can to protect them. This is why ICAN is so important. It is the official organization of Los Angeles County dedicated to the prevention, intervention, and treatment of child abuse. It is globally recognized for its innovative approach, uniting various agencies to tackle the most complex, severe, and preventable harm to children. And I really do hope you stick around, because that's what you're going to see in this room, the conversations, specifically when everybody introduces themselves. It's everyone who comes together for the benefit of our children and families. As sheriff, I recognize that child abuse is a crime that underpins a range of social, educational, health, and mental health issues. It is important, its impact extends deeply into the quality of life within all of our neighborhoods and communities. The cycle of abuse is evident. Children who are hurt may grow up to hurt others. I know that many of those incarcerated in our jails carry unsolved or unresolved trauma from abusive childhoods themselves. It is no surprise to me that the ICAN Child Death Review Team found that nearly half of the individuals responsible for fatal child abuse were once victims themselves in the DCFS system. I believe that protecting our children is one of the most powerful ways to prevent future crime. It is clear that offering families access to community resources, mental health treatment, personal support are essential foundations for preventing harm to our children. No child or family should ever be brought into the child protection system due to poverty, racial background, or a lack of community support. However, ICAN's primary concern is ensuring the safety of children, which we can achieve through collaboration and strengthening community support. Today, ICAN is releasing 3 comprehensive reports. 1, the state of child abuse in Los Angeles County. 2, the report of the ICAN Child Death Review Team. And 3, the report on safely surrendered and abandoned babies. Also presented today are committee recommendations for policy and practice. Among other concerning findings, we are reminded of the profound impact domestic violence has on our children and the devastating effects opioids have on parents and children of all ages. The reports presented today are comprehensive and reflect the insights of those with firsthand experience and professional experience and expertise in every field impacting the lives of children and families. The work of these teams, committees, and campaigns have played a critical and crucial role in saving children's lives.
Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman also spoke at the event about the importance of ICAN's mission.
One of the markers that I in studying it and learning more and more about it, as I encourage each and every one to do, is just seeing the rate of decrease of child homicide in the last 30 years because of the important work that ICAN has done. It's a 73% decrease in child homicide. There is almost no organization in society that can claim such an important decrease on the ultimate situation that affects young people, which is certainly homicide, as a 73% decrease. And Sheriff, while certainly I agree that Chief McDonald here is one of the biggest protectors of children, as are yourself, Sheriff, I would say the most impressive person I've come to meet when it comes to protecting children is the executive director of ICAN right here, Deanne Tilton-Jerfy. She's amazing, and she has dedicated her life and her energies to making sure that ICAN does this important work. And not only does this work, but does it in a collaborative, unified method. Because it's not enough just to bring in law enforcement to go after the child abusers and to send that deterrent message to the child abusers that if you go ahead and engage in this type of child abuse or neglect, or you engage in bringing drugs, particularly fentanyl drugs, into our children population that has led to it being the number one killer of 18 to 35-year-olds, and certainly one of the leading killers of children under 18, that law enforcement will be part of it. That is part of the solution, not even close to actually achieving real goals that ICAN has achieved. So it is truly by not just bringing law enforcement, but by bringing all the other organizations that you're going to hear about today as they make their reports together in the pursuit of doing our best to eliminate child abuse and neglect in our county, that ICAN has had true and real success over the entire over 30 years of its history. So again, it is an absolute pleasure to be here as the co-chair of this particular meeting.
So we're about to play a clip of Deanne Tilton Durfee, the executive director of ICAN. In this clip, Tilton Durfee discusses the contributions of law enforcement and first responders who participate on the ICAN board. Dr. Durfee has a long history in child welfare, including previous roles in child protective services and involvement in various national and state level commissions and task forces related to child welfare. Now let's hear the clip.
I've been a little flummoxed by all those wonderful comments, and I appreciate them so much. And I do want to emphasize that ICAN is a team. It isn't me. It is a team of wonderful staff, wonderful volunteers, amazing committee chairs. And standing with me now is law enforcement royalty and royalty in protecting our communities from fire and crime and abuse. And maybe I should say in particular, what has enabled me to be able to lead as I do the teams and the committees and the conferences is the support from the chairs. This last 3 years, Sheriff Robert Luna has been totally supportive from day one of his election to this office. And without that, we wouldn't be able to be here. And I can't help but revel over the return of Chief Jim McDonald. He was the chair of ICAN for 4 years. And we were sorry to lose him, but wow, fate brought him back to us. So I'm going to provide some findings from our reports, but then I would hope that Chief McDonald and also Chief Marone, our intrepid firefighter, the head of the legions of heroes who saved each of us during the month of January from the storms and the wind fire. So today, our work experience and our research are sad realities of how vulnerable children can be. Children whose lives are ended before their first birthday because of inflicted injuries or by a caretaker who wants to love them and care for them, but unintentionally suffocates them in their own bed or in a cluttered crib. We reviewed troubled adolescents giving up on life and children traumatized by witnessing the violent death of a family member. More importantly, today we report on how we can make a difference, what can be done in response to all this information, this huge amount of information we're releasing today, and the challenges that we identify. Finally, this child abuse is a system-wide issue, a community-wide issue, a neighborhood issue, and a personal issue. And it has impacted many of us personally, many of you. We all know that child abuse, which was America's greatest kept secret for so many years, has come out and been made real by the people willing to talk about their own childhoods. So I am going to provide some brief findings of the reports. Now, these 3 reports are available today. They're inclusive. They're unique in the country. One of the reports is 361 pages, the state of child abuse in Los Angeles County. So we're going to try really hard to get to the core of that a little bit. But I want to say it is amazing that 17 agencies went to the trouble of providing us with information on everything that they do, every child that they respond to in the child protection, in the child support system. So here we go. In 2023, 197 children under the age of 18 died from homicide, suicide, accidents, and undetermined cause. 6 children died at the hands of their parents or caretakers. Biological fathers were the primary perpetrators in the child abuse homicides, and more than half involved domestic violence. As the district attorney said, the 6 children is a number at an all-time low. In 1991, we had 61 little kids killed by a parent or caregiver. Last year, we had 6. And it looks like the year before that we've continued this for another year. So that's a huge accomplishment. But I want to remind you that not one child death by homicide is okay. These children involved a 6-month-old stabbed to death, 13-year-old, unusual, except this 13-year-old was brutalized at the age of 3 and lived in a vegetative state until he was 13 and then died. 4- and 6-year-old, mother's boyfriend, and a father who shot his own 5-year-old and then shot himself in the head. These are real cases. Each one is compelling and needs for us to pay attention so we can learn and prevent future tragedies. Over half of the perpetrators of child abuse homicide, as the sheriff noted, had a history themselves of abuse and were in a DCFS caseload. At least half involved domestic violence. And here's a sad, alarming statistic. 26 children took their own lives. 26. However, an exponential number, perhaps up to 1,200 children, actually tried to take their own lives, but were saved, either in an ER with Narcan or whatever. But this is a critical concern, and we'll hear about our Child and Suicide Review Team recommendations today. For the first year, gunshot passed hanging as the leading cause of child suicide. Year after year, the leading cause of child suicide was hanging. And last year, for the first time, it was gunshot. And about a fifth of these suicides were by overdose, and this has more than doubled the previous 5-year average. 23% of these children who died by suicide had a family history of child welfare with DCFS, and 38% had a mental health issue. The leading cause of death by accident was motor vehicle, and it was followed by accidental overdose, which showed about an 87.5% increase from the previous year. 24 little infants in the first year of life died because of unsafe sleep practices. Totally unavoidable, totally unintentional. Children under 2 years of age continue to be the primary victims of abuse and are overrepresented in DCFS comparison to any other age group. An average of 1,000 newborns a year are identified as substance affected and are at risk of referral, are at risk and referred to DCFS. In the last year, 2 surrendered infants were born to mothers experiencing homelessness, and 2 infants died after being born to women experiencing homelessness. In 2024, last year, 73% of the 22 child abduction cases reviewed involved domestic violence. And who were the abductors? Not a stranger, not a boyfriend. 73% were by a mother who was involved in a domestic violence situation and fled with the children. As of January 2025, there are 147 active child abduction cases with DCFS. And here's great news. To date, 282 infants have been safely surrendered, and most have been placed within a loving family. Again, this is just a small, brief synopsis of some of the findings that you will see in these 3 reports and in the committee reports today. So thank you for being here. I'll bring back the sheriff, who may bring back the LAPD chief or whomever he wants, and take questions. Thank you.
So the reports that came out this year, as well as reports from previous years, can be found at ICAN's website at icanforkids.org. That's ICAN in number 4 kids.org. So you are listening to KQRU 107.9 FM in Santa Clarita. You can listen to Santa Clarita Weekly on Saturday mornings at 9 and on YouTube, Instagram, wherever you listen to podcasts. So Tim, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about local sports.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up the high school soccer season, the high school boys soccer season. The soccer playoffs are all over, all the way down to the CIF Southern California and Northern California Regionals. And the Hart boys soccer team advanced all the way to the semifinals of the CIF Southern California Regional playoffs and lost to Loyola 1-0. Hart lost to Loyola in the semifinals of the CIF Southern Section Open Division playoffs. It was a doubleheader, and Loyola shut out Hart in both games 1-0. It was the same story in the Southern California Regional. Hart was held scoreless against Loyola and eliminated from the playoffs. Loyola played J. Sarah Catholic in the championship game, and they lost 4-0 in the championship game of the CIF Southern Section, CIF Southern California Regional. J. Sarah was the top-seeded team in the playoffs. The Hart boys opened the CIF Southern California Regional playoffs with a 4-2 shootout win over El Camino Real. The two teams played to a scoreless draw in regulation and overtime, and the Hart boys finished with the 17-5 overall record and won the Foothill League Championship with an undefeated 12-0 record. We're going to move on to the NFL, where the Rams are making some moves in the free agency period, and they added an all-pro receiver to the team. Devontae Adams, a 6-time Pro Bowl receiver, signed a 2-year free agent contract with the Rams, joining quarterback Matthew Stafford and receiver Puka Nacua. The addition of Adams, however, means the likely departure of receiver Cooper Kupp. Kupp has been the topic of trade rumors in the offseason. He was the MVP of the Super Bowl for the Rams, but he has been plagued with injuries in recent years and limited in playing time. Adams played in 14 games for the Las Vegas Raiders and New York Jets last season. His last 11 games are with the Jets, where he teamed up with quarterback Aaron Rodgers. The two were teammates with the Green Bay Packers before parting ways. He caught 85 passes for 1,063 yards and 8 touchdowns last season. It was his 5th season in a row with 1,000 or more receiving yards, tied for the second longest streak in the NFL. In addition to signing Adams, the Rams are bringing back wide receiver Tutu Atwell and backup quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. Atwell signed a 1-year deal with the Rams. He was a free agent, so he's going to come back for at least 1 more year. He had career highs in receptions with 42 and receiving yards with 562 last season. In 54 career NFL games with the Rams, Atwell has caught 99 passes for 1,345 yards and 4 touchdowns. He talked about returning to the Rams and having Adams as a new teammate.
What made you want to come back to LA?
It always been the first priority in my mind after the season. I always told my agent that, I wanted to come back, and this is like my second home, and we made that our top priority.
And this receivers room is going to look a little different without Cooper, with Devontae. What are your thoughts kind of about this group there now that you'll be in with?
I'm just excited to play with these guys. We're going to do some good things, and just looking forward to it.
What was your reaction to the team adding Devontae?
Wow, we're going to do some good things. He's a great player, excited to play next to him, and just can't wait for the season to start.
Is he someone you've watched on film and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. We're two different players, but he got some nice releases that I could probably put in my backpack, But he's a great player, man, and I'm ready to learn from him.
Garoppolo was the backup quarterback for the Rams last season and started 1 game in Week 18 against the Seattle Seahawks. He passed for 334 yards and 2 touchdowns in the games the Rams lost 3-25.
All right, thank you, Tim. So, Tim, how much of an impact will Adams have on Matthew Stafford's performance?
Yeah, this was kind of a surprise. The it's been no secret that the Rams have been looking to trade Cooper Kupp and move on from him, who's an all-pro wide receiver in his own right. He was the MVP of the Super Bowl. He was arguably the best receiver in the league for a few seasons not too long ago. And so losing him is going to leave a big hole in the offense. Bringing in Davante Adams fills that hole nicely. I mean, Davante Adams may be a little older. He may be at the end of his career, but he was still, very productive receiver last season. And he's going to give the Rams a very valuable offensive weapon, even if they lose Cooper Kupp. So I don't know if that makes them better. I think that makes them a little bit older, but it does give them more experience. And the Rams are bringing in someone who is at least as talented as Cooper Kupp was last year. So I don't think that they're going to drop off in any way talent-wise. We'll just have to see if Davante Adams can complete a whole season, even if he is a little bit older and has a little more wear on his body than Cooper Kupp does.
So how do you see Davante Adams fitting into Sean McVay's offensive scheme?
Well, anybody who plays with Sean McVay, any offensive player who plays for Sean McVay, tends to do well. Sean McVay has proven himself to be one of the best offensive coaches, NFL coaches, and the players who come to the Rams, the players who play for him, end up having very, very good seasons. He does well in the draft. The players they brought in, Puka Nacua is a good example of somebody who wasn't a very highly touted player coming out of college, but he turned into one of the best receivers in the NFL. In fact, it looks like Puka Nacua may be the number one receiver on this team now. And Davante Adams is going to be able to slip in as the number 2 receiver, and he's going to create problems for other teams just because all the attention is going to go to Puka Nacua now. So, Davante Adams is still dangerous, and Davante Adams is still, an effective receiver. And I think he will have a lot of opportunities just because he's not going to be the focus of other teams' defenses. It's going to be on Matthew Stafford. It's going to be on Puka Nacua, and it'll probably be a little bit on Kyron Williams too, the running back. So Davante Adams may be able to sneak up on some teams and have some surprising games just because he's not getting all the attention anymore.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tim. So let's talk about Major League Baseball and our favorite team, the Dodgers. So the Dodgers manager, Dave Roberts, and the Dodgers agreed to a 4-year contract extension days before the start of the 2025 season. The Dodgers are headed to Japan for a season opening series against the Chicago Cubs. Before the end of spring training, the Dodgers gave Roberts a 4-year extension and made him the highest paid manager in baseball. Roberts managed the Dodgers in the World Series championship in 5 games over the New York Yankees. It was a second World Series title for the Dodgers under Roberts. In addition to the 2 World Series, the Dodgers have won 4 National League pennants, 8 NL West Division titles, and Roberts has a 6-27 winning percentage. The Dodgers rounded out their starting rotation to start the 2025 season. Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, and Roki Sasaki. Sid May will be the 5th starter. That leaves Clayton Kershaw out of the rotation for now. The Dodgers also place Tony Gonsolin on the injured list and will send Bobby Miller to the minor leagues to start the season. The Dodgers have depth at pitching, but there are already a couple pitchers with injuries. And speaking of that, Tyler Glasnow, a key pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers and a Santa Clarita native, announced last week that he is making subtle adjustments to his pitching delivery during the offseason to improve his health and consistency. Working with biomechanical specialists, he's focused on correcting his spine angle to reduce stress on his elbow and prevent injuries. After an injury-plagued end to his 2024 season, Glasnow aims to stay healthy and contribute to the Dodgers' highly anticipated rotation, which boasts a wealth of talent. The focus is to allow Glasnow to pitch more freely, relying on his athleticism rather than becoming overly mechanical. And the Dodgers are hoping these changes will lead to a successful and injury-free season for Glasnow, contributing to their championship aspirations. So the Dodgers wrapped up spring training in Arizona with a couple of wins. They beat the Cleveland Guardians 10-4 and the Arizona Diamondbacks 6-2. The Dodgers went 10-2 in the final 12 spring training games. For the season opener series in Japan, Yamamoto will start the first game for the Dodgers, and Sasaki will start the second one. They're both veterans of the Japan Baseball League. Shohei Ohtani is expected to open the season as the starting designated hitter for the Dodgers. He is also expected to join the pitching rotation at some point in the season, adding more depth. So, Tim, why do you think the Dodgers felt it was important to extend Dave Roberts' contract now, even though he had a year remaining?
Yeah. I mean, this again, this is not a surprise. You know, the Dodgers were going to extend Dave Roberts at some point, and I think the only question was how long did Dave Roberts want to have that extension go for? And 4 years seems to be a good number. The job of managing a Major League Baseball team is never a secure one. It's never a safe one. You know, I don't see the Dodgers firing Dave Roberts in these next 4 years. You know, if he has a bad season, if, something happens with management or with the owners, and he for some reason gets out of favor, then he could leave. But I don't see that happening. So this was going to happen. He was going to be extended at one point, and I think the only thing that was up for debate was how long was the contract going to be, and really how long does Dave Roberts want to keep managing the Dodgers? I think it was really up to him. So I guess he decided 4 more years might be the right number, and we'll see if he goes beyond that. But this was going to happen. The Dodgers wanted him back, and I think Dave Roberts wanted to come back as manager of the Dodgers, and it seems like it's a good fit. They've won 2 World Series, and it's a good combination.
Yeah. So the Dodgers have had a lot of high-profile acquisitions recently, but what are the expectations for Roberts and the team in the coming years?
I think that the high-profile acquisitions are really on the pitching staff. Roki Sasaki and Blake Snell are 2 of the big names that the Dodgers brought in, and they brought in some other pitchers too, mostly for the bullpen. And that was really, if the Dodgers had a weak spot on their team last year, it was the pitching staff. It was especially in the rotation. During the playoffs, the Dodgers had to resort to using bullpen games. They were using relief pitchers to get through the playoffs and face some of the best teams in baseball. So, this team is deep. Finally, deep in the starting pitching category. That they have Clayton Kershaw, who is arguably the best pitcher in this generation for the Dodgers, who's not even in the rotation right now. He's kind of injury prone, and he's going to need some time to get healthy and back up to speed. He did end the season with an injured foot last year, but he has time. That this team has a luxury of depth to give him time to recover. Same with Shohei Ohtani. He's coming back from a arm surgery and shoulder surgery, and he's going to need some time to heal, some time to get back up to speed. And because the Dodgers have so much depth and they brought in so many high talented pitchers for the season, they can let their probably maybe 2 of their best starters get healthy and be better prepared for the later half of the season.
Yeah. So I have a question about Tyler Glasnow. So I wanted to ask you, he's a Santa Clarita native, but how crucial is Glasnow's performance to the success of the Dodgers?
Well, Glasnow, when Glasnow is healthy, he is one of the best pitchers in the league. He's shown that he can be one of the top pitchers. He's always been a top tier pitcher, but the big question with him has always been his health. He's never really gone more than 125, 130 innings in a season, which means he's good for maybe 15, 20 starts a year. He does get hurt. He is a little fragile. He does wear down. And when he's not healthy, when he's struggling with his health, his performance tends to dip off. So it's important. It's important for him to try to stay healthy, to try to get through a season. I think the Dodgers are a better team when he's healthy, and the pitching staff is in better shape when he's healthy. But again, this goes back to the depth of the pitching staff, is they do have a little bit of a luxury with having so many talented pitchers. If Tyler Glasnow does struggle, if he does have some arm problems or he needs extra rest during the season, I think the Dodgers have a little cushion there where they can give him some time to heal, give him some time to recover, and they're not going to be desperate to have him in the rotation just for the sake of being there. He can take the time to get healthy and have some recovery time. It'll be important to keep Tyler Glasnow healthy so he can be a part of the playoff. Like, he wasn't there last season. So if Tyler Glasnow is in the rotation during the playoffs and they have all those other pitchers to go in during the playoffs, the Dodgers are going to be really hard to beat once October rolls around.
All right. Thank you, Tim. So let's talk about the NHL hockey. The LA Kings are riding the hot hockey stick of Quentin Byfield in a 3-game winning streak. Byfield scored a shorthanded goal in the Kings' 4-1 win over the New York Islanders at the Crypto.com Arena, the third win in a row for the Kings. It comes after a 5-game losing streak, including 3 on the road. Byfield has scored 3 goals in the 3 games the Kings have won. His goal against the Islanders gave the Kings a 3-1 lead in the second period. The Kings took a 1-0 lead in the first period on a goal by Vladislav Gavrikov, his 4th of the season. The Islanders tied the score 1-1 on a goal by Anders Lee in the second period. The Kings scored 2 goals in the second period. Philip Denault broke the tie with a goal midway through the period. Byfield scored his 15th goal of the season with 6 minutes to play in the second period. Drew Doughty added an empty netter, his second goal of the season for the Kings' 4th goal of the game. The Kings started their 3-game winning streak with a 2-1 overtime win over the St. Louis Blues at home. Byfield scored the game winner in overtime. The Kings followed with a 6-5 win over the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. Byfield was one of the 6 Kings to score goals in the game. His goal early in the second period gave the Kings a 3-0 lead. Kings coach Jim Hiller talked about the Kings' winning streak in the game against the Islanders.
It's being engaged. It's taking your level of intensity one step higher. And along with that is a will to win, is to protect your teammates, to influence the game physically, not just on the score sheet. So all those things,
So the Kings made a deal before the trade deadline, adding Russian winger Andrei Kuzmenko from the Philadelphia Flyers. The Kings sent a 3rd-round draft pick in the 2027 for Kuzmenko, who has played 44 games with the Flyers and Calgary Flames this season, scoring 6 goals and notching 14 assists. Kuzmenko is in his 3rd season in the NHL. His rookie season with the Vancouver Canucks, he scored 39 goals and had 74 points. The Kings have 2 more games at home against the Washington Capitals and Nashville Predators before heading on the road for 2 games against Minnesota and Chicago. So that's our show. So tune in next week for more discussions about the news from Santa Clarita. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM at 9 on Saturday mornings. And you can also watch us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and listen to us on SantaClaritaStar.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a comment and be sure to subscribe to Santa Clarita Weekly Online. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Santa Clarita Weekly. You can watch the show on Santa Clarita Star's YouTube channel and Facebook page, as well as listen in on the radio at KQRU 107.9. Visit SantaClaritaStar.com for more content and tune in right here to KQRU 107.9. A new voice for Santa Clarita.